So, what kind of data are you expecting to see? Like, what should executives be thinking about when it comes to like some foundational data that they should have, maybe about the customer journey or whether it be something else?
Well, ultimately, you want the data to tell a story and you want to map it. Let's say the customer journey. I want to understand where every customer comes from and how I'm bringing them into my business. And I want to understand what I paid for that customer. Typically, you might have 10 channels, and some of them might be free channels. You're probably paying for most of them, but each one has a cost, and you should be managing those channels well. So I want to understand, what am I paying for a customer from each channel? How am I bringing them in? Okay, once I get them on my website, how do I convert them to actually pick up the phone, make a call, or fill out the web form? And then that starts to tell me the quality of that customer, and it allows me to kind of gauge the channels. Then once that customer's called, then what happens? Depending on your business, it might be a services business. Once that customer calls, how successful were we at setting up an actual appointment? It's another sign of quality. Then after that appointment, how many people cancel? What was the cancellation rate? If the appointment went ahead, how many customers actually bought the product or bought the service? And then when they bought the service, what was the average order value of that service? So you can tell a very good story with metrics, and slowly you unpack that and say, okay, I can see this very clearly now. I've been spending on these three channels and they've been really ineffective for me. They brought in a lot of customers, but those customers were terrible. They didn't convert. The average order value was low. I'm making very little from those major channels, and I've been spending all my money on them. But there's two channels emerging that they're super effective because they're bringing good customers and converting them. Their average order value is double what I'm getting from elsewhere. Right, that's where I'm going to spend all my money going forward. So when I said build a business on data, there's no reason you can't do that very easy nowadays and see everything that's going on in your business and track that customer very precisely from first point of contact to when you make money from them. And depending on your business, if you're good, you make money the first time, hopefully you turn them into a recurring customer. And that's more metrics. What percentage of customers do I get a second transaction from and a third transaction? How do we do that? That should be free marketing, because once you've got the customer, it should be email and SMS and making sure you keep them, and improving that average order value on the second and third run. So, yeah, building a business on data, every CEO, that should be the number one priority. If you build a business on data, you can manage it very easy. Gut feel goes out the window. You have a business built on metrics.
And it's interesting that you bring up the CEO role because in private equity, 70% of CEOs get fired before the exit. So is that a private equity problem? Is that a CEO problem? Is that a recruiting problem? Or is it a metrics problem that you're like the problem that you're seeing, which is, not enough CEOs are actually leveraging the data?
I think it's parts of everything you mentioned. Ultimately, it's a systemic problem. Because if 70% leave before the whole period is out, it's an issue. And it's probably not as high as 70, because some of them, when a PE firm buys them, there's an agreement. You buy a firm, the founder's in place, and you both agree you're probably not the right guy to take this forward the next 5 years. And most of the time, the founder will say, "You're right, and I don't want to. I'm happy stepping into the chairman's role and bringing in a CEO." So it's probably not, look, it's still high. It's probably not quite as high as that. But I think it's a systemic issue, because the pressures under a PE firm are much more than when you were a founder. The monthly meeting, the quarterly meeting, the annual review, the pressure is on growth. And it should be. I mean, this is a business. The PE firm is not buying you for the fun of it. The PE firm is buying you because you're an asset, you're an investment. And the PE firm has to answer to their LPs and predict what kind of return they're going to get. So if the CEO is not set up well to do that, or if the CEO is not the right guy to do that, yeah, they probably won't make the holding period. And I think it's a different kind of CEO that is built right for PE, and they absolutely have to be metrics driven, because PE firms are metrics driven. PE firms are finance guys. So that brings home even more the importance of building your business built on data, because you shouldn't ever get stuck for an answer. You should be able to tell clear stories about how you're going to grow this business, where the opportunity is, what's happening right now. Data also gives you transparency. and gives you trust over time. So you're all looking at a single source of truth. You're all looking at the same metrics. That makes a business much easier to run. And it also makes a private equity held business much easier to run because you can share all those metrics with the PE firm and the board and have a clear picture.
Visit us at leaderbook.ai. Your support as a subscriber means the world to us. So thank you for tuning in. I'm Felicia Shakiba. Let's connect on LinkedIn.